Hi, welcome. On this video, I'd like to take a few minutes to discuss the proactive nature of the relational approach. When you ask a question as to how change is promoted, it's really going deeper to understand how that change takes place at the relational level, how it sets up, how it's promoted. And again, you can make this comparison to, say, more of a corrective approach. And again, I even make the distinction between what I define as relational influence, what that represents through how change is promoted, and corrective influence. So I draw the comparison to kind of get a better understanding as to why change needs to happen at a proactive level. You have to be ahead of the curve of the dog's mind, so to speak, in order for meaningful change to happen at the level needed. With a lot of these dog cases, especially getting into these aggressive dog situations where a higher level of change needs to happen. Now, here again, getting into this comparison of understanding the issues of being reactive and proactive and why that really matters is, again, looking at the, say, corrective approach, where trainers will offer up a correction, okay, when the dog's state of mind is already at an overly elevated level. It's already hit the tipping point, it's gone over, and then responding to that through how a correction happens through the leash via certain collars, etc. But again, understanding about the nature of that, what that's doing, how you have to see that is it's reactive. You're actually waiting too long. You're actually not ahead of the curve of the dog's mind. Again, it's about getting ahead of the curve of the dog's mind in order to affect change in a meaningful way. Okay, so but again, when I make a distinction between a correction and relational influence, again, relational influence takes the form, it manifests at the point the dog's mind just begins to separate and elevate. Okay, this is where, again, if you watch my videos, you'll see many of the videos how this is happening just as the dog's head is turning outwards, away from. There's an inwardness that happens as these moments of influence set up. But as the dog's mind begins to elevate, just as it begins to separate, that's when influence comes online. It takes the form of a nudging. It's a interruption, and it makes sense to the dog. So therefore, what you're doing is it's about asking the question again. If dogs really are relational animals and that it's about changing the perceptions of the dog, what's the most effective way with doing that? Should it take a proactive approach or a reactive approach? And the same example can be used in the human world. Say, for example, if you're trying to establish parental influence over a child, teenager, ask the question, what's the reasonable way to do that? What's the best way to create parental influence? Are you going to be reactive, or do you need to be proactive in that? And proactive, again, represents starting to ask certain questions, being more active in your child's relationship, and really coming alongside that way. It's the same as it relates to changing perceptions of a dog, to dog training. It's relational change, so it has to be proactive. Okay, and again, it's about making sense to the dog. It does make sense to the dog because they actually know the intent. That's the thing to understand, how this is communicated, how it manifests through the various methods and techniques. But anyway, really important to understand, again, when you look at even learning theory, I talk about this issue about why training needs to be approached as a relational changing process, because that's what it is regardless. That's what's really happening. So when you approach it differently as a learning-based exercise, what that does is that shifts the focus away from change happening through the person at a level needed, bringing the spotlight onto the person, and it moves the spotlight onto the dog as the agent of change. And that, again, that interferes in the script. That really interferes in where change needs, how it needs to set up, where the perceptions of change really come from. It comes to the dog owner. So just something to think about. Again, this relational approach is very, very effective because it goes deeper. It understands a dog's mind at that deeper level. It understands how to align the motives properly, how change sets up to, relationally, to the type of influence. These moments I define as follower moments. And so what they do is they affect the moment that you're in. It kind of like fades you into the picture. You can see how this manifests through, through the leash technique. You'll see the inwardness of that. But also these moments when people ask the question, well, what, how's change really happen? Well, these moments are your building blocks. So as they build off each other daily, they begin to influence the dog's overall decision-making process. So that's key. That's a key thing to understand with this system. So anyway, if you have any questions about this system, feel free to contact me through email or phone. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. So thanks for watching.